All right, welcome to Rattler Up with Coach Walsh, where we highlight all the great things going on in Rattler Nation. We are live here at the Big Texas Event Center at Hays County Barbecue. And if you're joining us live stream on VYPE, thanks to our VYPE partners for putting this together for us each week. But where you really need to be is right here live at Hays County Barbecue. And this week, Coach, we get the chance to finally do what we've been wanting to do. It's not just about Rattler Up, but it's the after Rattler Up, Monday Night Football. Tell them why we come together each Monday night. What's the big point here, Coach?
Well, we picked Hays, their event center. They got a nice place here where it's out back behind the restaurant, and it's built for something like this where we can, no matter what faction you're in the community, you can use this place to come together and fellowship and have a good time, talk, in our case, talk ball, talk athletics, but just to meet people, you know. And like I said, I got asked, you know, how do you build your program in the city, and how do you get your athletic program out there? Well, you get in the city. So we're in the city. We're in an event center. We're putting a podcast on. We're going to talk athletics, and then the TV's on around here. We'll stay on for a while and watch some Monday Night Football if folks want to hang out. All
right, Ravens and Raiders tonight, Coach. So good Monday Night Football matchup to follow, Rattler Up. But this is where we are every week, Monday nights at 6 o'clock. And like you said, Coach, today especially, we're going to be talking sports well beyond the varsity level, talking junior high and middle school experiences, elementary experiences. It is truly Rattler Nation, and that's what we focus on. This is Rattler Up with Coach Walsh. I'm your host, CJ, and with me every week is San Marcos head coach and athletic director John Walsh. So, Coach, thanks for joining us. This week on Rattler Up, we're going to cover the big game from this past Friday night. Get our first victory opening up our home schedule at San Marcos Toyota Rattler Stadium with a big win over East Central. We're going to look ahead to our next matchup as district play begins this week as we host Lake Travis. And as we mentioned, we're going to talk volleyball, cross country, some sub-varsity football, and joining us live in studio will be head San Marcos High School cross country coach Michael Morris. Lots to get to this week, Coach. Are you ready?
We're ready, man. Let's get it.
All right. Well, before we begin, we want to throw a special shout out to another coach here on the San Marcos High School staff, and that is San Marcos High School softball coach Kathy Stoughton. Have you been following this, Coach?
Yes.
This is incredible. She has competed this past first weekend at the Keep Texas Wild Triathlon. Coach, it's not just the athletes in our program that are doing incredible things. It's our coaching staff as well. This was her first triathlon ever. She did a 300-yard swim, 5.5-mile bike ride, 1.5-mile run. She took first place overall in her mini sprint division. Coach, give it up for Coach Stoughton. How about that?
Yeah, absolutely. She came by today to
Hays County Barbecue loves it.
They do. Yeah, she came by today to talk about it, and she actually had a fear of the swimming part because you're in open water. You know, there's no turning around. Once you get in that water, you're in it. But what I liked about it was when she got done, she finished. She used it with her kids. She used it with the softball program. That, you know, she's reaching out and trying to do the extra and kind of put it on them. What are you doing extra?
Right, and I think that's the beautiful thing about what she's doing there personally. Her team now looks and says, when she demands something of her, when she tells her players, hey, you can do anything, she's living and breathing that very mantra. She's not just saying that. That's got to be huge, and we're real proud of her here for the Rattler Nation and Coach Stoughton. But lots to cover this week here on Rattler Up, so let's get to it. We're going to get started by taking a look back at last Friday's game, our home opener at San Marcos Toyota Rattler Stadium, as the San Marcos Rattlers took on the East Central Hornets. It was our home opener, and East Central, well, they got on the board first with a safety in the first quarter, and both defenses keep it tight throughout that early part. It was a 2-0 lead just to end the first. But San Marcos responds in the second. It was junior running back Jaden Brown scores a 5-yard rushing score midway through the second to put the Rattlers up 7-2, and it was back and forth from there. East Central finds himself up 16-14 at the half, and it would be late into the fourth before San Marcos gets the answer, with Brown scoring again, this time from 30 yards out to give the Rattlers the lead, and he would score a 58-yarder late in the game that puts it away as the defense does its job, holding the Hornets the rest of the night out, and the Rattlers get the 28-16 win for their first win of the season and a victory in their first game back at home. Coach Walsh, exciting Friday night, exciting, lots to cover, but just in general, what are some of your takeaways from this big Friday night victory?
I think the biggest takeaway is we had a good home crowd. We were at home, we had a big crowd, and you play the game for a lot of reasons, and you play sports for a lot of reasons, but capturing the crowd and the community, and we feed off that energy, and they brought energy from start to finish. Second thing would just be our defense. I mean, I think the first 2 weeks, we've moved the ball pretty well and kept us in it by scoring points, but it's what I like about football. It's a complicated game, and our defense had to step up over and over and over and over again to keep it where we could finally get into the end zone in the second half. And so I was real proud of our staff. Coach Kleiber leads a great staff on that side. They had a great plan. And then the kids executed the plan.
Well, absolutely. And like you said, the defense keeps us in the game. The offense makes it happen when it's supposed to be. It was a big team effort here Friday night, Coach. And as you look at the offensive side, we'll come back and talk the great job the defense did here in just a minute. We'll see some clips here as we're talking. But the offense, they really spread the ball out. 4 receivers had catches, including Tony Diaz, who was our focus this last week, stepping up once again with 5 catches for 88 yards. 3 different rushers, including Jaden Brown's 22 carries for 209 yards and 3 touchdowns. Defense makes their plays at the points of the game. So talk to us about what was clicking on offense. Why were things working so well and so often for the Rattlers when they had the ball?
Yeah, I think, when you're a coach and you game plan for a team, we have tossed the ball around to a lot of people. So they have to cover the field horizontally and vertically on us. And then if you're watching the game close, though, it's our offensive line that's been really moving the football. So, and it's the place that we're healthy. We're still minus people outside and minus people in the backfield, even though we got Jaden Brown back last week. But the offense is clicking because those guys up front are getting better and better each day.
Absolutely. You saw the tight end position specifically, which we're going to talk about here in just a moment. They were really helping move that ball, the offensive line, giving Isaiah DeLeon all the time he needed to make the plays he needed. The run option was working real well in many of those plays. Talk to us about how successful that particular piece of the offense was working for you.
Yeah, you have to mix it up these days. I mean, the defenses are complicated. The game's not, it's not simple anymore. And if you don't have balance, then you're not going to have a chance to win. And I think the biggest thing we did that I think we learned as a football program, I hope they learned it, and it just didn't happen by accident. Mark Castillo's in our locker room, so he hears me talk about this, is what we did not do a good job of the week prior is we lost momentum. And the biggest momentum in a football game is right before the half and right after the half. And last week, we didn't cover a punt. We gave them a short field, and they scored right before the half, and then they came out, and then they ran a kick return back for a touchdown. So they stole all the momentum last week. This week, we score before the half, and then we stop them after the half. And I think our kids understand it. You could hear them talking about it in the locker room. So when they start understanding those facets of the game, then we're maturing, and I see that a little bit.
Well, and it's a big puzzle that we've talked about. You brought us in from week 1. You've said we're getting ready to get to the tournament. That's the goal. We've talked about the district part of the schedule versus the pre-district. Obviously, it's easy to say wins and losses don't matter. They do matter. But at the end of the day, we had 3 games to get ourselves ready for district play. Regardless of the scoreboard outcome of New Braunfels and Holmes, as you mentioned, lessons were clearly learned in those games that resulted in victory against East Central. And do you feel now that with those 3 games, come win or loss, those 3 games have got us ready for what we need to do in district and to get to the tournament?
Yeah, absolutely. I told them before we do our pregame, we did it in the SAC Friday night, and I told them if we come out victorious tonight, the only difference from the other 2 nights, because we're growing as a program, we're growing as a football team, we're understanding the game better. The only difference is we're going to feel a little better because we won, but the biggest difference will be the perception from everybody else, from the stands, from the couch, from the internet, is they're going to have a better perception of us because we actually got the W. But within our football family, we know that we're making progress. We know where we're headed. We know we got guys not healthy yet. They're going to get healthy. So, man, we're going the right direction. The kids are, like I said, there's some people that are in my locker room here that they're focused. And I'm excited where we're at. All
right, well, we mentioned tight end play, and that's going to bring us to our Rattlers of the Week this week. Rattlers of the Week. It had to be plural. As you went through this, you realized this just absolutely had to be plural. And, Coach, we'll let you make the announcement here.
Yeah, Jaden Brown would have been easy, right, because he scored all the touchdowns. But we chose Rattlers of the Week this week were Jake Darling and Elijah Pearson. They're the tight end position. Jake plays both ways, and it's based on leadership. Those 2 guys, I've said this. You talked about the tournament. When we get to the tournament, when we get to the playoffs, we'll only go as far as our peer leadership. I'm going to be the same guy. I'm going to do what I do. Coach Kleiber's going to do what he does. Coach Reyes is going to be him, and we're going to do that next year and the next year and the next year. We're not going to change, but it's the peer leadership that either gets you from round 1 or to round 3. And those two cats right there, Jake Darling and Elijah Pearson, although different, personalities different, how they lead's different, they are unquestioned two of our biggest leaders on our football team.
And you talked to us a little bit as we were prepping for the show. You talked to a little bit, some of that from one of them came even in the message beforehand. And could you talk to us a little bit about the pregame and how that leadership is already showing long before you even take the field?
Yeah, so 3 hours before we play a game, we're always in the pregame meal somewhere, and we're usually finding a church that lets us have their gym, or when we're home, we're using the SAC gym. And we have two guys, Emilio and Mark, that deliver us a good message. It's always, they know the heartbeat of our team, and they're always giving us good life lesson messages. And then Jake Darling asked if he could have that moment. If he said, "Can I have that time?" And so when I told those guys, I told Emilio and Mark, they thought it was a great idea, and he delivered a really powerful message. His dad's in the military, and he kind of compared a time in his combat time to our football team, and family and trust, well delivered. I'm not sure what award it was, a National Merit Award or something this week for academics. So very smart kid, very driven kid. So that message really kind of catapulted into my message. I had something else prepared, but he got my mind going another direction. And I think Mark's shaking his head. Yes, it was a pretty good 20 minutes in that SAC gym. It's supposed to be about 12 to 13 minutes, but it got longer because Jake led us in a really good direction that I didn't want to leave quite yet.
Well, it's so incredible when the students can take that ownership and when they can become the leaders of the team. So congratulations to Jake Darling and Elijah Pearson, this week's Rattlers of the Week. Live studio audience, give it up for our Rattlers of the Week. Again, if you're watching home on VYPE, this is the place you want to be, so you can give those shout-outs to our Rattlers of the Week. Join us here every Monday at 6. You want to be here live. But, Coach, let's talk defense. So we talked, you previewed that early on. Defense was huge in this game. There were massive stretches, and you're going to see some highlights here as we talk. Lowest point total allowed all season. They make the crucial holds when the game was on the line, forced the turnovers, which several of these clips are. Just talk to us about how great you had to feel to see the defense step up in such a huge way.
Yeah, and you got to give this quarterback was really good in running the option, and what Coach Kleiber and his staff did was they mixed up fronts. They were multiple. We're a four-man front. We're usually pretty basic. We want our kids to know what they're going to do and play it fast. But if you play a good quarterback and it's option game like Isaiah DeLeon, if you just sit there, we're going to pick you apart eventually. We're going to find the right read game. We're going to find who to read. But they mixed it up. The kids responded. It was a short week. Because we played on a Saturday, so with the short week, putting some exotic blitzes on, or just different looks at them, confused them, and it showed. And the kids played, and they rallied, and they got that momentum. And the biggest thing they did was they created turnovers. And if you're a football fan, you know when a defense creates turnovers, you got a chance to win a ball game.
Well, we talked about getting ourselves ready for the tournament, getting ready through district. You've talked the last couple of weeks that you've been trying to paint that winning picture, and that sometimes it was difficult to paint that picture without the W itself. You have that now, so talk to us about how important that is and how now you can paint that picture as we head into district play.
Yeah, you just continue telling the story, you know. I think our kids know where we are. They know when you put the film on, right? So if you just go to a game and you watch it, we didn't win because of this, we didn't win because of this. When you got that eye in the sky and you watch that film in our meeting room, and every kid's got accountability of why we didn't move the ball, and that play could have changed the whole game. And it's never just one person, it's usually all of us, including the head coach calling plays. So we all find our mistakes, so they all know where we're at. But yeah, it's a whole lot easier when you can go in there on a Saturday morning and you can and you got that feel good, you know, and they had to feel good, but we did a good job of still being critical of ourselves, because like you said, it's not November 12th yet, and we want to play past November 12th.
Awesome. Well, great win again, 28-16. Rattlers come out ahead in their first game at home, so we were really excited about that. But Coach, before we move on to some other events in Rattler Nation, it is time this week for the Odom Challenge. You ready?
I think so.
All right, you're on a winning streak here. We did some pick 'em last week, and we kind of had a push in the college games. We were both right and wrong on the same games as the Bobcats, the Aggies, and unfortunately the Longhorns didn't come out the way either of us or anybody really expected. And then you take the win in the NFL as the Buccaneers come out on top, as do the Texans. So you win, Coach Pick'em. Congratulations. Cowboys was a little closer than we thought it might be, though.
Yeah, I was pulling for them, but in the end, I got to beat you, so I was good.
Right. Well, but I picked them, so my fandom wins.
Right.
So
good.
Yeah, so. All right, well, this week, Coach, we're going to play Fact or Fiction. In this game, I'm going to read you a statement, and all you got to do is call it fact or fiction. So some of these we may not know the true answer for a while, but I will read the statement, and you reveal a fact or a fiction, and since it is a television show, you got to explain a little bit more than why. You can't be that kid that just says yes and moves on. I'll have to go into my questioning strategies, and the show gets dull. So I'm going to need some explanations, all right? You ready?
I think so.
All right,
we
Coach.
may have to eliminate this segment of the show, but go ahead.
All right, fact or fiction, an NFC or AFC divisional round playoff game will be played this year in the state of Texas.
Fiction or nonfiction? Is that the
Fact or fiction?
Okay, fact.
That's a fact?
Yes.
And I'm assuming not because you figure the Texans are getting to the
we just
divisional
got two
round.
great stadiums. Surely someone's playing.
Someone's playing.
Someone's got to be
Okay.
playing somewhere.
All right. All right, fact or fiction. Now, there's a huge debate about this. You may not realize this. Lemon lime Gatorade. So fact or fiction.
The yellow one?
Lemon lime Gatorade is green.
It's yellow.
So fiction?
Fiction.
It's green, Coach.
It's yellow.
It's green.
What color?
What does the Hayes County Barbecue's live
Yellow?
studio audience think?
Yellow.
And so, okay, so more yellow than green, all right. All right, fact or fiction. Someone just prefers purple Gatorade in the live studio audience. Fact or fiction, Coach, A&M finishes this year in a higher place in the SEC than Texas does in the Big 12.
And you asked this question with the superintendent here.
Yes, I did.
I'd say that's going to be a fact because the defense, if they get Haynes King back, they're going to be in good shape. Actually, the quarterback that I coached in Denton is actually moving back to the quarterback spot today. So, and their defense is just too good. I'm not a Texas fan, period. I'm a Oklahoma State fan. So
fact on A&M. Fact on A&M. All right. All right. Fact or fiction? Coach Marvin Nash would defeat Coach Carl Thompson in an arm wrestling match.
That's fiction. I know Nash rolls his sleeves up in pregame and tries to look tough, but Carl will break his shoulder.
Okay, so that's a beyond fiction. We have to have a third term for that.
That'll go through the table.
All right. Final one, Coach. Fact or fiction? Texas State will earn its first bowl game berth this year.
That's fact.
That's fact.
That's
you got
fact.
the Bobcats finally breaking that curse, right?
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you for playing fact or fiction, Coach. Some of those, maybe we can find out
That's
the arm
good.
wrestling one. We want to set that one up on.
I don't think Nash does.
Well, I bet Morris was nodding his head like he wants to see that. We're going to have Coach Morris here with us live here in a minute. I think he'd like to see that matchup. Well, it's time on Rattler Up now as we take a look out across the rest of Rattler Nation. Lots of great stuff going on in season here in Rattler Nation, just across all levels, across all sports, and we're going to get a chance to take a look at some of that now, Coach. Starting with a volleyball update. As we mentioned, they started district play this past Friday. They get the win in 3 straight sets against Bowie Friday night, and so that is a 1-0 start to district, so they're off to the right place. They'll have 2 this week. They're going to go to on Friday, they're going to go to Austin to take on Aikens, but this Tuesday, they are going to host Hayes in the Snake Pit, and I'm telling you, that's the one you need to be at, folks. If you've not come to a live volleyball game, that is the place to be. It is exciting as exciting can be, and it's Hayes. We always want to have people cheer against Hayes, so get on out. Snake Pit Tuesday night as the Volleyball Rattlers take on Hayes. Talk to us a little bit about what you saw and what you've been seeing so far. Great start to the district play for the team.
Yeah, I had to miss the opener because obviously we played Friday night too, but I was getting updates. But being around, I was with the girls today in the weight room as they were working out. You know, you play, 20, almost 30 games in non-district, and it has its purpose, but you can tell there's a better focus. You know, there's a couple of girls in here today, but there's better focus from them. And they're trying to get to the tournament as well. They got to the tournament last year, but they want to go further in the tournament. So whether you're going to beat Bowie or you're going to beat Hayes, you got to make sure you're getting better as you go along. And I like the demeanor these girls got right now.
All right, well, two opportunities for them to extend their district record so far. And then we want to talk a little bit more football, but we want to talk sub-varsity. As we know, you've talked about building a program, you talked about the community, and part of that community goes into the JV, the freshmen, and even into the middle schools. This past week, all middle school teams, the freshman teams, they all got victories in their section. You got some photos coming in from some of these Miller and Goodnight teams. Again, you've talked about developing this, and it goes far beyond varsity. Talk to us about the importance, Coach, and what you're doing to develop these programs at these younger levels.
Yeah, and it was really difficult last year just because the restrictions we had. But when you're going to build a program, you fail as a head coach if you do not start there, if you do not put the importance there. And what I'm really proud of is the coaches that were at Miller and at Goodnight, the ones that remain, and we hired some more, they're all in, and they want to be a part of the building process the right way. They're with us at the high school. They take care of all their duties at the middle school, but they understand to be speaking the same language, to be creating the same mentality. It's different. I coached, my first job was a 7th grade coach, and it's completely different. I mean, your patience gets tried, and you have to be, you're a young guy and you want to draw all this stuff up and be the smart coach, when you really just got to be a basic coach and be really good at being basic. And I love our staffs right now. E.J. McGee is leading the Miller staff, and Coach Pactanac is leading the Goodnight staff, and we're all speaking the same language. And I had to miss it Thursday night because we were playing our sub-varsity games, but we get to catch them tomorrow night. But it was good to get the text that we won at every level at every school, and that's a good start.
And that's huge for you guys at the varsity and then even into the high school, all high school levels, when you, like you said, they come to you speaking the language. That's right. Time not having to develop, time not having to teach, time to instead use and just pushing them forward. Is that right?
Yeah, and really, it's the language part's important, but the mentality is the biggest thing. Just having, we make our kids, we don't make them, we ask them, which means make them play football a certain way. We want to be a physical football team, and you got to build it young. And I think we're starting that direction. All
right. Well, another huge source of excitement in Rattler Nation this year has been found in our cross country team. And when we get back from commercial, we are going to be joined live by the high school cross country coach Michael Morris. So stay with us. We'll be right back here on Rattler Up. All right, welcome back to Rattler Up with Coach Walsh, and joining us live in studio here at Hayes County Barbecue is our head high school cross country coach, Coach Michael Morris. Michael, welcome in to Rattler Up.
Hey, thanks for having me on, CJ.
All right, well, Coach, it's an exciting season as you're getting started here with the cross country team. And we've got some highlights that we're going to talk about today. We've got some pictures from a recent tournament, and want you to just be able to kind of give us all the info and information we need for people to know about the cross-country team. But we want to get started with you. So for those of us watching at home or live here at Hayes County, Coach Morris started running those country roads down around Willis Point, Texas, and that's where his cross-country career begins. He was part of a state finalist team in high school, was a runner-up to the state champ his senior year, went on to run for the Texas State Bobcats, where he actually still holds the school record for the steeplechase. Coach Walsh, what's your fastest steeplechase time? Slow?
Yeah. Slow. What is steeplechase? You jump over and get water?
I googled Michael. I didn't really Google steeplechase. We're gonna have to have we need a staff, Coach. We're gonna have to get a staff here on Rattler Up to look these things up. All righty, Coach Morris won the 2019 3M half marathon as he refueled his racing career as an adult, and in 2020 put up times just seconds short of qualifying for the U.S. Olympic trials. Coach, I'd say you've been there, done that, and we're pretty proud of the background that you bring. So talk to us about just that individual background that you have and how you can translate that to coaching our Rattlers.
Yeah, you did a lot of research there on me, man. Thank you. Feeling pretty good now. No, I tell the kids all the time, and I relate to them. I tell them actually, I was a football player and a basketball player before I ever became a cross-country runner. And I had an older brother and sister that ran, so a lot of them, that's how they get into the sport, is they start by, my dad ran, my mom ran, and they get drawn into it, and I tell them, hey, let's just get to one cross-country race, and if you get there, you're going to be hooked in this sport. And so that's what we've been working on, is just getting kids to come and be a part of the team, and really developing our culture has been the biggest key that we've had this year. Is building a culture that's accepting of everybody. I look at any marathon. We got marathon season coming up with Boston and New York and Chicago, and you'll see not only 30 to 50,000 runners in a marathon, but you'll also see another 300,000 people cheering on. So it's a sport that just translates from all different ages, and that's what I'm biggest about, is everybody can come out and run. I don't care your ability. If you tell me you're slow, if you're fast, I'll be the decider of that, and we're just going to work from there. We're going to take you from where you're at, and we're going to grow you up, and I tell the kids our philosophy is I'm going to make you a great runner but a better person.
Excellent, and we appreciate you for that, Coach. You've been doing a wonderful job. And you mentioned all ages. It's something we just talked about with the JV, the freshmen, the middle school football. This is something we're really moving as we push the culture just of Rattler Nation to include the whole community. But, man, you guys are leading the way on this. You've got Coach Jones down at Miller. You've got Coach Clinton down at Goodnight. But you even extend down into the elementaries. So talk to us about how cross-country is touching all ages and really developing a program all the way through the San Marcos school system.
Yeah, it starts with an amazing support staff in Coach Jones and Coach Clanton. I mean, I can't do it without them. We just ran the San Marcos River Invitational, which Coach Jones has actually been in charge of that, and really is the man that took over that and ran the show there and has run it numerous times. Cool. But with their leadership, it makes my job so much easier. We talked about having a common communication and common language, so when the kids come up from Goodnight or Miller, or they're coming from the 6th grade run club, they already know what my expectations are. So when they get to me, my job's a lot easier. And that's just what we want to keep doing, is we want to keep growing it.
And so this past weekend at the San Marcos River Invitational, this is our hosted tournament, is that correct?
Yes.
And you were talking to us before the show. Talk to us about the turnout. Apparently it was an incredible turnout for this tournament, am I right?
It was something awesome. I believe we hosted about 3,000 runners, 3,500 runners in total. We started at 8 in the morning with the high school division, and we wrapped up about noon with the middle school divisions, reaching all the way down to the 6th grades. We had a great turnout, not only from our teams in terms of how we placed overall. We had amazing support from our parents and from our volunteers that came out. I mean, something like having that many runners of all ages, it's not possible without having the support staff. And like I said, the booster club, the parents, Mr. Cardona, thank you for coming out too. Having everybody out there, it really shows the community that running can build here.
And that's excellent, and to have such an event right here in our hometown really kind of fosters that for everyone. Get cross country on the map. The team, performance-wise, did well as well. The varsity girls with 4th place overall. Ali Juarez took 2nd place individually, and Mina Kuntz, I believe, took 11th individually, correct? The varsity boys were the team champions. The JV girls were the team champions. The JV boys were 3rd overall. So we're hosting this tournament. All this stuff is going. These wonderful parents are volunteering. But then do you get a moment in there to step back as a coach and just say, oh, yeah, and I'm really proud of my kids, too?
Yeah, we have Rattler Runners of the Week that we like to represent. And this week we gave it to Allie for not only for 2nd place on the team, but one of the things that you talk about as a runner is always getting to the line. Finish not to the line but through it, and she took 2nd by less than a second. Wow. And it was her finishing through the line, and I told her, like, this is what we're about. This is how we finish. And we on the boys side, it went to Mateo, a senior. It was awesome. I was out there running around the kids. I told them beforehand, hey, I'm going to be really busy. I'm not going to get to be so much Coach Morris today. I gotta have a lot of hats on. I'm going to really need y'all to step up. And I'm running around and my phone's ringing, and I pick it up, and it's Mateo, and he's like, hey, Coach, what can I do? What can the guys team do right now to help us right now? And I was like, hey, we need you to start cleaning up. And he stepped up as a leader that day, stepped up on the course. He was our 3rd place finisher on the team, which was huge points for us in terms of winning the boys meet. And then we had on the JV boys side, we had Adrian Castanon. On the JV girls side, we had Kayla Weimar. Also being our Rattler Runners of the Week, because another thing I focus on with the kids is consistency. Show up to practice. Give me a good hard workout. And they've just been the model for that, of coming in every day with a positive attitude. Coach, how can I get better today? What do I need to do? And their consistency is not only showing off in their races, but it's also wearing off on the other team, because now kids are starting to have to look over the shoulder of, hey, I got these runners that are running really good behind me, and You know, cross country is a little different than other sports when it comes to varsity, JV, freshman division. Is, you know, if you got a stud freshman, they're on varsity and they're going to be up there. And I switch it up every week according to how we're doing. And if I see that one runner has really put in the effort and put in the work to be a varsity runner, I'm going to reward them with that and put them up there. And so you can be a varsity runner one week and move down to JV the next week. So that right there just fuels competition and fuels the team to take that step forward.
And you mentioned just having to be that way every day, right? We're talking about the tournament itself. We're talking about the race day. But as the three of us well know, talk to us about that Monday through Friday. Talk to us about, you know, I think we joked last week, if you're out there dropping your kids off at school around Bowie Elementary or some other places, that's our kids that are running those sidewalks. They're up before any of us, right?
Yeah.
Talk to us about the work and just the time that is put in by those teams. What does it take Monday through Friday to get a team ready for a race on Saturday?
You know, it's like any other sport. It's not go run. We have a purpose for every run. We have a purpose for every workout. You know, in football, you got to train different muscles. You got to learn different plays. In cross country and running, you have to train the mind. You have to train different components of the body to function at certain times. So, you know, we had the talk today. We during the summer training, we start in June and we train through June through the hot summer. You know, thank God we live here in San Marcos and we have that beautiful river to jump into to cool off after workouts. But we train all the way through the summer, and that's what we call our base building, where that's where we're just getting miles in. We're just running. We're having fun as a team as much as we can. You know, it's not easy waking up at 6 in the morning to get a run in. We just finished up what we call our strength portion of it, where we're really focused on just getting into racing, and now we're in our performance part. So now we're really starting to dial in our workouts. We're really starting to dial in. So, you know, it's like anything else. We go on certain days we have hard workouts. On certain days we have easier workouts that are meant to help the body kind of refresh and get ready. So that way when we step up to the line on a Friday or Saturday morning, we're ready to go. And it really takes training all the different parts of the body, all the different muscle groups, and really having them fit and ready to go on race day.
All right, and so someone that's watching here today, they're interested, they're hearing all this great stuff coming in from the cross-country team. Next opportunity is the Hayes CISD Invitational this Saturday the 18th, so yet another chance to come out and watch us beat Hayes at something. That's always something we want to do. So, Coach, talk to us about, people may not realize this is a spectator event. There's a lot to watch. You mentioned the hundreds of thousands of people that are coming and watching these marathons. Talk to us about what somebody will experience if they came out Saturday, for example, to watch us race at the Hayes tournament.
Yeah, varsity girls will start off at 8 o'clock. The gun will shoot off. And I'm telling you, if you've never seen or been to a live race, it is by far one of the most exciting events. And I love football and I love my basketball and I love that. But there is something different about a cross-country race when, as much as you are competing against everyone around you, the spectators there, the energy that is there is just something unique. And getting there, like I said, if we can get a kid there or we can get a family there, they become cross-country runners because it is just something that draws you in. It's one of the most fun things and one of the most exhilarating things to get to do. It's what I wake up for every day, is knowing that, hey, I get to take part of this.
Awesome, awesome. Well, Coach, thank you so much for the work you're doing for the team. Thanks to Coach Jones and Coach Clanton for what they're doing down at the junior high levels and even in the elementary schools. And hopefully some of us will be out there to support you at Hayes, and we're going to check in with you as the weeks go on, as the season progresses. But thanks, Coach, for being with us on Rattler Up and for all you're doing for our Rattlers.
Thank y'all.
All right, cross-country coach Michael Morris. Give it up for him. All right, well, we're going to turn our attention back to the gridiron as we look ahead to this Friday night. And so this Friday night, the boys return to San Marcos Toyota Rattler Stadium as we take on the Lake Travis Cavaliers. It'll be game one of the district schedule, our second game at home. And so, Coach, before we preview that game, as we stay home for another week, you mentioned a little bit, but the live crowd was really big in helping push our boys past East Central this past week. Am I right?
Oh, absolutely. You know, I didn't know what to expect. Because again, last year was just so different. So when the national anthem was over, it's the only time I really looked up there, and it was full. It was a lot of guys, a lot of folks there making a lot of noise, and you got to have that in your home crowd. You want that home field advantage, and they are the home field advantage.
And the student section was loud and proud right there on top of you like we talked about. So make sure you're a part of that this Friday night, 7:30, San Marcos Toyota Rattler Stadium as the Rattlers take on Lake Travis. So let's talk Lake Travis. Obviously, it goes without saying, one of the more successful teams in the area, and they have been for quite some time now. They are 2-1 on the season, having defeated Judson and Martin from Arlington before dropping their last pre-district game this past week against Rockwall, 59-35. Their starting quarterback, Bo Edmondson, returns for his junior year. They've added an Ohio State wide receiver recruit from Del Valle in Caleb Burton. So, Coach, how do you handle expectations on a week like this when you know you're going up against such a tough opponent?
Yeah, and I said it after the game the other night that, you know, we're trying to get our program into the playoffs, into the tournament, and where they're in Westlake, they're trying to win titles right now. And after I said that after the game, and then as a coach, your competitive spirit, and you work from Saturday all day and Sunday, and you put a game plan together, and you watch film and you evaluate, and you see the growth we've had, and then we turn it into, it's a great opportunity for us. And I told our coaches, you know, I don't know if our guys are going to block them, if we're going to tackle good, but on Sunday at 2 o'clock, you know, we can't get out coached. You know, those guys are in their field house putting a game plan together. We're at our field house putting our game plan together. You got to recognize matchups. And then when we got done last night about 7:30, 8 o'clock, I feel like we got to, you know, are they favored heavily? Absolutely. But if we execute and we do things the right way, I've been on the other side of these kind of football games, and it's football. A lot of things can happen. I hope the Oklahoma State Alfred quarterback throws 4 picks to us like he did last week, and all of a sudden you're in a ball game, right? So we got a good plan. The kids are fired up. It's a great opportunity to get better. And if we're talking about the tournament and you're talking about the playoffs, these kind of games right here will get you ready for whoever you're going to see round 1, 2, and 3. Because they're 2 of the best right in front of us.
Well, and I think it's like you've mentioned before, in a game like this, you can't worry about who's on the other side of the ball for the player's sake. You do as a coach, obviously, as you put a game plan together, but you control just what you can control. And that has to be probably something you're letting the kids know. You can control how you lift in the weight room. You can control how hard you work at practice. You can control whether you're on your blocks. Is that part of that message, just regardless of who's on the other side of the ball, you do what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. The message is we have to get better. When the game's over and we wake up Saturday morning, we watch that video, we better have gotten better at something, or then we wasted a week. And you don't get a better scout team than the Lake Travis Cavaliers, so we should get better.
All right. Well, let's talk offense first. What are some of the keys to our offense performing well? What are some of the challenges that they face?
Talking about our offense?
Our offense.
Yeah, so we just – again, there's 2 facets, I think, when you're playing a team like this is you got to get the ball out quick. You know, we got to execute. Our quick game and our play action game on our game plan has grown. We got to protect, and we got to get the ball to Tony and Ryan and Nate and JB out there, and almost like a running game. You know, not necessarily. You don't always have to hand the ball off for 4 yards. You can throw for 4 yards. So, and then our read game is always the X factor. You know, and I've coached games before where we're overmatched, and the read game is 100% what allowed us to be in the game later. So Isaiah executing in both those. It always comes to the quarterback. You know, you sign up, you want to play quarterback when you're a little kid, because it always you'll get a lot of credit and you'll get a lot of criticism. But in the end, that guy's got to lead us.
Right, and that's exciting to me because that's somebody that I think can do just that.
Absolutely.
That's exactly the kind of athlete we want back there. So flip the script. Defense coming off a big victory for them. Such a key defensive game against East Central. Yep. What are some of the things they're looking at in prep for this week?
Yeah, I think Coach Kleiber's onto something with our kids. They mixed up their fronts well. We got to give them different looks. If you just sit there, this kid's got 20 offers to play in all the Power 5 conferences. So if you just sit there in the same look, then he's going to pick you apart. Rockwall, they got beat by Rockwall. Rockwall did a good job of bringing pressure and mixing it up. So no, we got to give them different looks. We got to change coverages. And I've seen the game plan, and I think our staff has put our kids in a place for success.
Now, as you know, we get moved around quite a bit in San Marcos. We're never in the same district more than once. Often, you know, back to back, we get shuffled around. But for this is a district that we were in last year. So how big is it, do you believe, for our returners, somebody like an Isaiah De Leon that has already faced these level of teams at least once before? How big is it for them to come back in? Okay, you know what? We've seen them. We know they're hyped. We know they're supposed to be great. But they've done battle once before. What does that do for the returners? And is that something that can trickle down to kids that this may be their first time against a Lake Travis?
Well, I think the unknowns are gone. You know, we started, I don't know, in Ryan's class and Isaiah's class, there were so many sophomores that took that field last year against, you know, Lake Travis and Westlake, and they just didn't know. And so the unknown's gone. They know what's in front of them. They know what to expect. And so I think just taking the unknown away, they're going to have a lot more confidence for sure.
Absolutely. All right, well, that's where you need to be Friday night as the Rattlers take on Lake Travis at San Marcos Toyota Rattler Stadium, 7:30 start time, second home game of the year. So glad to get to face these guys at home. Every little bit counts, and as we saw against East Central, that home crowd is a big thing that we're going to be bringing to that game. So that's going to do it for this week's Rattler Up. We got to have you here with us on Monday nights at 6 o'clock live here at the Big Texas Event Center at Hayes County Barbecue. And this week, Coach, we finally get, like we said, to do what we've been talking about. We're going to stay after, have that fellowship, have that community. And of course, before we go, we want to remind people of the opportunities to see the Rattlers in action. Again, this Tuesday night, the Rattler volleyball team takes on Hayes at the Snake Pit. Varsity starts at 6:30. That's a game you got to get to. We need as many fans out there cheering against the Rebels as the volleyball team moves into their second district game of the year. Saturday morning, grab some coffee, head up to Hayes. Coach Morris and his cross-country Rattlers will be there taking on, how many teams are probably going to be there at that tournament, Coach? Anywhere from 14 to 16 teams that we'll be running against Saturday morning. You have that opportunity to go and support the Rattlers in cross country. And like we said, Rattlers versus Lake Travis, Friday night at 7:30 at San Marcos Toyota Rattler Stadium. Coach, with the first 2 weeks of Rattler Up, we were missing some of that component. Are you excited about the fact that now we get to do what we've been talking about, stay in and watch tonight Raiders versus Ravens?
Yeah, absolutely.
You got a pick for Raiders Ravens?
Dual threat quarterback in Lamar, absolutely.
All right,
I got the Ravens.
Takes the Ravens, all right. Well, next week we will look back at this Rattlers Lake Travis games and look at all the highlights and the key moments. We'll update you on the progress of other parts of Rattler Nation, continuing to look at volleyball and, of course, cross-country action, and preview our second district game of the season as the Rattlers head to Austin to take on Westlake. We want to thank Kate from WK Ohana Photography for all the great graphics and photographs that she shared with us. Thank you to her. We want to thank VYPE and our wonderful producer Josh over here putting together everything that you see here on our live stream partners. Go to the VYPE YouTube channel. They have the Rattler Up shows archived there. You can watch any week. If you miss us on Monday nights, you can watch us later in the week on just search VYPE on YouTube. They've got a lot of great content with local sports. Go check out VYPE and see what they're doing there. And thanks to our live crowd. Give it up to the live crowd. You did a great job as usual here in Hayes County Barbecue. You've made it fun to talk sports and be a part of Rattler Nation. Coach, we're having a good time.
Yeah, I do want to just thank one more faction out there that makes the Friday night experience great is, you know, the Diamond Line can show up and do their dance, prepare, and the band prepares, and the football team prepares, cheer. But working with Daniel Pearson, our Booster Club president, and watching him work with the band boosters in the store, I do just want to give a shout out and thank all the parents and volunteers, because without them, the Friday night experience is not as smooth or as entertaining. You know, it's that Friday night's entertainment. You know, and so I always want to make sure, you know, Rudy Espinoza does a good job of leading our volunteers with our concessions. So just again, thank all the parents that take their time to make that night a special night.
Oh, and again, we've talked to Coach Teo from volleyball. He's mentioned all the things the parents have done. Coach Moore has just talked about all the parents that helped put on the event. So the real heart and soul of Rattler Nation, the parents of these student athletes, we thank you for all the support that you're always giving, and we hope to keep making you proud. Well, that'll do it for Rattler Up this week. So for Coach Walsh, I'm CJ Odom. We'll see you next week here on Rattler Up.